I'm looking at my emails and I got an email that pops up. And it's a cease and desist letter from you know who, from the one who shall not be named, Lord Voldemort. And I was like, and immediately I was back to that little kid again. I also had to kind of like take over the wheel and be like, this is my space, this is my place, this is my platform, this is my story, this is what I want to talk about. This is what happened to me. This is not me trying to convince you that this is what happened to me. No, it happened to me. There's enough proof, there's enough evidence of all the things that I'm saying, and whatever you feel like you want to do with it, that's on you. You know what I mean? I'm not asking for somebody to come in and save me anymore. I am saved. I saved myself. Really, actually, is what I did. I saved myself. And I'm not asking anything from anybody. I'm good. That's kind of where I'm at in a nutshell. I'm good. Guys, I know it's been a while since I've been on here, but I'm not gonna lie, you guys, it took me a while to get here. I was in the States. I got sick, as you can hear kind of right now, like I'm really sick. And I've also just been working, which I'm really grateful for, but like I've had commercials to shoot and like auditions to go for. And then I had to come home and kind of process everything and like get my mind together and go to therapy and like have a session and realize like, okay, what I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna put this into two parts. Part number one is gonna be like how I'm feeling now and pre-podcast. And part number two is gonna be podcast. I think it's important to kind of like break those up. If you've been following me on this journey, you know that this is like a lot to keep up with and to kind of pay attention to and to kind of like listen to. So I felt like it's a little bit easier, and that way I can say what I want to say without trying to feel rushed to cram it into one video. And also I realized on this trip that I'm talking to like a few groups of people, but I realized that the group that I want to be talking to are the survivors, you know? And so part one, part two, here you go. All right, let's talk about today. What am I feeling today? First and foremost, I am a survivor. And I didn't realize that until the trip. I was like, wait a minute. You know, because people were like, well, why are you telling this story? And I was like, I was kind of getting offended by it. Like, what you mean why I'm telling this story? But then I realized that people didn't really get it. And I was like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm a survivor. I'm healed. Like, I'm not completely healed because I think healing is continuous, but I'm a survivor, you know? And so I realized that in this trip that people like thought that I'm trying to do this for something or for some like, they're like, oh, you just, what did somebody say? I was having an outburst. What? And I think that that is so funny because no, I'm not having an outburst, baby. I'm not having an outburst, honey. I survived. So first and foremost, I'm a survivor. So claps to me, okay? Number two, like the inner me is so, the inner child of me is so happy because for the longest time, she's been trying to reach out to people to be like, I need help. You know, I'm living in chaos. I need help. And so from the church, from school, from friends' parents, from family, like I have been asking for help. And like the inner me has been like, hello. It's really interesting too, because it's like people never believed me. And even now, because it's like, girl, your last name is this. What I'm speaking about, you wouldn't ever expect, I guess, maybe. So for a lot of people, it's kind of like shocking. But then also, I think people don't know how to handle it. It's like, okay, sorry, or like, what are you looking for from all of this? And the greatest part about it now, though, is like, I'm not looking for anything. I just survived, and I'm just telling my story so that the other survivors can hear it and know that, like, you guys did a great job. And also, if you're going through it, like, you have to come out on top, and you will come out on top. I didn't have this growing up. I didn't have somebody that I had books, but I didn't have somebody that I could look up to or that I could go on the internet and hear somebody tell their story and be like, dang, that's me. I'm a survivor. So that's my MO. I'm also feeling better too because it's like, I think the comments and the scrutiny of all of it kind of got to me a little bit as well. And I just felt a little bit judged. And I was playing this role of like, I have to tell my story so that people believe me. And it's like, I had somebody say to me this trip that was like, girl, you are not here to tell your story to be believed. You are a survivor, period. And you're talking to a certain group of people. And I was like, okay, yeah, I feel that. I definitely feel better about that because it felt very much like I had to have a list of all the things that happened. And I was like, okay, so this happened. What do you know what I mean? I'm trying to convince people to believe me, but I don't need to do that. Mm. Sorry. So right now I'm feeling very good. I'm still a little bit, like I said, I'm a little bit sick, but at the same time, I'll take it. I just got a whole bunch of vitamins as well. And so I'm feeling like a refreshness of me. It's like a second part of my life has begun and I'll never be the same. That's also something that's really cool as well. It's like I'll never be the same person again. The person who I was before I told this story is not the person who I am after I told this story. And I think that that's pretty cool too. So if you're a survivor of abuse, make some noise in the comments and not as a space and place for other people to look at it, like just for you and for me and for us to have this relationship and this conversation and just this thing where it's like, yeah, we're survivors and we did it. And it's so cool that I'm building this community of people who actually get me and understand me because that's such a big part of me and a big part of my life that I've just excluded and realized that it is a part of me. So I can't build a community without addressing those things. Like, this is my tribe and I'm happy. And me and my tribe are we're good. You know what I mean? So I'm happy. It's also I feel like everything was just getting out of hand in terms of like where the narrative was going and all this. It just felt like everybody was taking a piece and was like, it's about me. It's about like, wait a minute, it's not about you, it's not about you, it's not about you. Like, this is my story, you know? Everybody is entitled to tell their story how they want to tell it, wherever they want to tell it, if you choose to tell it or not. It's just not my choice. That's not my opinion. I can't care. Like, it's so weird. It's like you have your own space and place and platform to do whatever you want to do. And so do it on yours. You know what I mean? I also had to kind of like take over the wheel and be like, this is my space. This is my place. This is my platform. This is my story. This is what I want to talk about. This is what happened to me. This is not me trying to convince you that this is what happened to me. No, it happened to me. There's enough proof. There's enough evidence of all the things that I'm saying, and whatever you feel like you want to do with it, that's on you. You know what I mean? I'm not asking for somebody to come in and save me anymore. I am saved. I saved myself, really, actually, is what I did. I saved myself. And I'm not asking anything from anybody. I'm good. That's kind of where I'm at in a nutshell. I'm good. So that I'm feeling like, woof, woof, woof. So thank you. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of my inner child. I'm proud of us. We made it. We survived. We lost some people along the way, but you know what? We're here today. We're strong. And we're only going to go up from here. So, all right. So now let's get into the pre-podcast. Because the pre-podcast for me kind of shook me up a little bit. So I left to go to the US on Sunday. So I think it was either like Wednesday or Thursday. No, maybe Wednesday. I look through my phone. I'm looking at my emails and I got an email that pops up. And it's a cease and desist letter from you know who, from the one who shall not be named, Lord Voldemort. And I was like, and immediately I was back to that little kid again. The little kid who was told to shut up. The little kid who had to hold everything in and be quiet. Like, it just felt like somebody was pressing on that part again. You know, it feels like somebody's going like this to you, and it's like somebody's starting to squeeze it, and I'm starting to feel like this again. Like, oh no, people are trying to shut me up. It's crazy. Took a little bit to process that. There's a lot of anger in that. There's a lot of like disappointment. Also, feelings of just kind of being over it because it's like, what's this? Do you know what I mean? There's been no phone call to me, but there's text messages, there's this letter, cease and desist, and it feels like everybody around me is talking. There's a lot of chatter going around, and I can hear it and I can feel it, but it's like there's no chatter that's coming directly to me in terms of like a phone call or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's very much like, here's a text message and here's a letter. And, you know, when I had my therapy session and I had a chance to kind of sit down and think about it, I was just like, you know, what we kind of put together is like, what do you do when you're scared? Do you know what I mean? When you're fearful, that's kind of how you decide to act. And so, you know, now that I'm here, I can kind of understand where it comes from. But at the same time, it was super stressful because, you know, then I didn't know also that when I was going to the US that I was going to be doing a scene with Braxton Family Values. And so that kind of caught me off guard too. And I was just like, okay, you know, what am I going to say? How am I going to say it now? How am I going to voice my opinion? Like, it became about you, became about you, became about this one. And it's like, I don't want to say something that could actually legally get me in trouble because I don't feel like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just so much pain in it. And so it was just really stressful on the way. And I tried to have brave face and I tried to just, it's why I just didn't post. It's why I didn't really talk. It's just heavy, you know what I mean? Because, you know, in life is very unfair. And I think you realize you want a situation to go the way that works for you, right? Like you want the support, you want the love, you want what you feel like you need, but that's not really life, right? Like life gives you the things that you just have to learn how to deal with. Uh, you know, on the lead up to going to the US, it just was like, I don't even know if I want to go. I don't even know, like what am I doing? I started to doubt myself. I started to think about, you know, is this the right way for me to talk about things? Like also, what am I about to walk into? Am I about to be ambushed? You know, I was very scared when I was even just arriving in the A. I was like, what if somebody's outside? Do you know what I mean? There's threats inside of the text message that I had received from before. And so it was just very much like I'm not really feeling safe, you know? And I was grateful that I had my friends who were there to kind of support, and it felt very much like, you know, everybody's like, send your location, girl. Everybody was just checking in, like, are you okay? You know, I had to let some people know what could be happening. I had to let people know where I was at. It was just a very stressful moment. I think it's just important for me to share this because you could also be going through the same thing, or maybe this is why you're not sharing yourself or sharing your stories because you're afraid of the repercussions and the backlash. I feel like people were trying to do a good job of trying to shut me up and to try to make me be quiet, and I can understand. But at the same time, this is why I say tell your story, is because, you know, there's no story that you could put out about me that's going to make me be quiet. Do you know what I mean? And sure, if you feel like that's what you need to do, then you got to do it. But at the same time, it's like, you got to make sure that you tell. It's like, I don't really know what you could say about me that I haven't already said about me. And I think that that is so, so, so important. And if you're somebody who's facing this time of your life, or maybe this is why you're scared, is because you feel like there's going to be so much backlash against you, or you know, people are not going to believe you. That also threw me for a loop. I'm going to put this part in part two, but I didn't realize that I had actually surrounded myself with people that I thought believed me, but in reality didn't. And I was picking up on it and I was trying to make it so that they would believe me. You know what I mean? Like my energy was like, how can I be believed? And I'm going to talk about that in part two, but that also kind of threw me for a loop as well. My people, my tribe here, I think people just know me for a different version of me. And so they know that this is something that I'm passionate about. They know that I've been talking about this for a while. It's not like it's just come up out of the blue. They know that this was the next step in my journey, you know, in terms of like sharing. And so for them, it was very much like I'm so proud of you. This is the next step. You're being very courageous. You can do it. You know you're going to get a lot of backlash. You know that it's going to be some support, but then some not support, and you just have to keep going. So pre-podcast for me was a lot, but at the same time, it took a lot out of me, but it definitely made me stronger mentally. And I just have a different perception in terms of sharing and telling my story. So I'm actually doing a talk in, I think it's either 2 or 3 months, and I'm going to be on stage and sharing my story in another aspect, in a space and place of like this. I'm an advocate for abuse, and I'm speaking to a crowd of people who have been abused. So the energy is going to be completely different, but I have a different energy in terms of my deliverance of what I'm trying to say, because it's not even a space and place of like, do you believe me? It's not like, please, do you believe me? Please, sir, can I have some more? It's not even that. It's very much like, no, this is it. This is what happens. This is me. This is who I am today. And if you're a survivor, put your hands up in the air and say, amen. And if you are in the process of becoming a survivor, we got you. We got your back. You can do it. You can do anything. It's not going to be easy, but it's okay. This is like your triumph of your life. And sometimes life gives you shitty things, and sometimes life gives you situations that you didn't ask for. But for you to be able to overcome them, now you can live the next part of your life. So stay tuned for part 2. But if you're a survivor, put your hands up. It's time to really celebrate you. I didn't know. I feel like I'm a little bit even kind of new to the space. I'm ready to kind of come in and be like, hey guys, I'm ready to come in and be like, what's up guys? Is this the party? Is this the survivorhood? Is this the survivor sisterhood ship? Like, is this where everybody is? And everybody's just kind of just been giving me love and praise. Be like, girl, what's up? Welcome. Congratulations. You did it. And I was like, dang. So that's kind of nice. All right. Stick around for part 2.